Greetings, most gracious audience. I am Sir Persevere, Knight of the Hand-Drawn Realm.
And I am Speckles, Salamander of the Hand-Drawn Realm and Sir Persevere's talking animal sidekick.
Today we are going to conclude the review of Princess Mononoke that we began 2 weeks ago. This is the third part in the series. If you have been following this multi-part review since we started, I appreciate your support. I hope you enjoy this portion of the review as well. I also trust the improvisations provided by Queen Hive Mind and Gertie the Dinosaur in the previous videos have enhanced your experience. It is our goal to entertain as well as provide our thoughts on a given animated film and pop culture news. Before I proceed any further, I humbly request that you visit Odin's movie blog. I trust you will enjoy his pop culture takes. I am a fan of his channel, along with many other prominent members of the fandom menace. Now, without further ado, let us get into the final portion of the Princess Mononoke review. Now, where did I leave off?
You last talked about Mononoke explaining her ability to talk to animals to the prince. We also discussed the fact that she gave him the mouth-to-mouth treatment when it comes to food like a mother bird.
Thank you, Speckles. Anyway, just as she finishes feeding the prince her pre-chewed food, the wolves and the pigs enter the clearing. The pigs declare their intention to save the forest and then ask why humans are present at the meeting. The wolf goddess replies that the human girl is Mononoke, her adopted daughter. The pigs then ask why the prince is at the meeting. Princess Mononoke vouches for the prince, telling the pigs that the forest spirit had healed the prince of a bullet wound. The pigs then ask why the forest spirit had not healed the boar god who had turned into the black spaghetti demon. The wolf goddess replies that life and death are for the forest spirit to decide, not the boars. She also reveals that she will also die soon from her own bullet wound. Mononoke begs the wolf goddess to plead with the forest spirits for healing. The wolf goddess responds that she has lived a full life and will not allow herself to be turned into a black spaghetti demon like the boar who attacked the prince. Just as the pigs begin to protest again, the prince gathers just enough energy to speak in a weak voice. He tells the pigs that the wolves are telling the truth and confesses that he was the one who killed the boar god, but not before being touched by the boar's curse. He also confides in the pigs that, although the forest spirit healed him of his bullet wound, he did not heal the prince of his curse. The big white boar enters the scene and starts sniffing the warrior. Mononoke begs for the boar not to eat the prince, to which the boar replies that he is not going to eat the prince. We also learn that the white boar is blind.
So, he didn't see the monk earlier like we thought?
No, but he probably smelled the monk. Anyway, the white boar confirms to the pigs that the wolves and the prince are telling the truth. The white boar apologizes to the prince on behalf of the pigs that such a curse has been put upon him. When the prince asks if there's anything that the white boar can do for him, the boar simply tells him to leave the forest, for he will have to kill the prince if they meet again.
Humph! Some apology? It's like telling a salamander that you're sorry for burning his requested garlic mealworm bread and then turning right around and kicking said salamander out of the dining establishment without giving him a refund!
Wait, what? When did that happen?
In the hand-drawn realm, I went to the Happy Lizard Diner last week and received crummy treatment there. I rated it as a 1-star eatery and started a vocal boycott. Last time I checked, all the local salamanders agreed with me that my treatment was harsh. Now I just have to convince the geckos.
I'm truly sorry that it happened to you, my little friend. I hope you get results soon. Better yet, maybe someone will start a competing restaurant and drive the Happy Lizard Diner out of business. Anyway, after the boar gives his crummy apology to the prince, the wolf goddess tells the white boar god that he cannot win against the humans' guns. The white boar god tells her that the pigs are growing more stupid every day. It would be better to go out in a blaze of glory while they are still sentient, than to lose all intelligence and simply become ordinary animals that are only fit to be hunted. With that, the pigs leave. Mononoke spies the forest spirit, who is standing on the water. Meanwhile, there is chaos at the fort. The people bringing rice to the fort suddenly find themselves under attack by another faction of humans. The Lady Commander leads the counterattack against the invaders. Her guns inflict devastating losses upon the enemy. The enemy faction is quickly thrown into chaos because of her impressive armament.
Well, why don't the enemies also have guns?
It appears that in this story universe, guns have only been recently invented, so most humans are still using bows and arrows. The monk arrives on the scene and tells his followers to take up strategic positions with their guns. As you can see, he has a lot of followers.
So, he's a monk, correct?
So he claims.
Aren't monks supposed to be religious and peaceful? Why is this monk wanting to kill a spirit, and why is he commanding a secret battalion of militaristic fanatics?
Well, this is a Japanese monk, not a European monk. Maybe Japanese monks were more militaristic than their European counterparts. But I agree, this seems rather fishy, added on top of his weird athleticism despite his short and pudgy appearance. Anyway, the monk meets up with the Lady Commander, wherein he comments that he's under a lot of pressure from the Emperor. It appears that the Emperor believes that he can obtain immortality if the monk can bring him the head of the forest spirit.
Aha! That would explain it. In Japanese culture, the human emperor was considered to be a god. Obviously, the monk worships the emperor and wants to help him achieve the immortality he talked about with the warrior prince over dinner.
That sounds accurate enough. The Lady Commander and the monk enter the fort. The monk requests the lady for help in killing the approaching pigs and the forest spirit. The Lady Commander refuses to be bossed around by the Emperor or anyone else. When the monk threatens to withdraw his gunmen away from the fort, the Lady Commander assures him that she will help him, but on her own terms. She then tells the monk to order his special riflemen away from the strategic positions he had placed them earlier. As we can see, distrust is brewing between them. The monk asks one last question. Did the warrior prince come through the fort? The lady replies that the prince came and went. Later in the evening, the monk's men enter the town and have dinner. The Lady Commander prepares herself to accompany the monk on the mission to kill the forest spirit. The ladies of the fort beg for her to stay. The lady replies that the women will stay with their guns to protect the fort. Hopefully, the monk only wants the commander's help to take down the forest spirit. However, if the monk decides to double-cross her and conquer the fort, she needs all the gunwomen stationed at the fort to thwart such an event. The scene shifts to the warrior prince again. He is sleeping in the wolf's cave. He awakes and sees Mononoke sleeping next to him. The pain in his arm spikes again. He walks out the cave to get some fresh air. The prince admires the landscape from his cliff-top perch. There is no dialogue during this part, only singing. I'll admit, the singing is beautiful. I think the song was about moonlight. The song becomes less prominent as the wolf goddess speaks to the prince with her mind. She tells him he could just jump off the cliff and be rid of the curse through death. He asks her if the boars are on the move, to which she says yes. The trees are dying, and the animals must do what they can to protect their home. The prince asks why peace between animals and humans cannot be found. Animals and humans could share the forest, and there would be no need for conflict. She tells him that humans are already gathering for the final battle, and their weapons will destroy everything.
Ha! What stupid animals! They should have recruited wasps! Human guns and explosives have nothing on wasps!
Queen Hive Mind, you have returned, and you are manifesting yourself in the form of a single wasp. We were not expecting you.
With all the chaos I have been stirring up on YouTube and my Tumblr minions wreaking havoc on animated reboots, I grew rather bored with my pop culture demolition and thought I would visit for a while and help you with your review.
Aren't you going to kick me off the platform? After all, Speckles did eat your primary avatar body last time.
Oh, that. Well, this is my new primary avatar body. No matter what you do to my avatars, I will always live. I will not be banishing you at this time. But trust me, I will expel you someday.
Well, you are in an unusually forgiving mood. Thank you for your generous restraint.
Oh, you're welcome. This time.
May I continue now?
For now, you have my permission.
Gee, thanks. Anyway, the wolf goddess told the prince that the humans were gathering for the final battle. And as Queen Hive Mind observed, the animals sadly did not have sentient murder hornets on their side to even the odds. The warrior asks if it is the wolf goddess's plan to allow Mononoke to also die. She responds that Mononoke belongs to the wolf tribe now. Whatever happens to the wolves will also be her fate. The prince demands that Mononoke be set free and be allowed to live like a human. The wolf goddess reprimands him for his insolence before telling him that Mononoke's human parents were defiling the forest. When the wolf goddess chased away her parents, they left Mononoke behind. Any other wolf would have eaten an abandoned human baby, but the wolf goddess showed mercy by sparing the child's life and raising her as her own. As a result, Mononoke is a monster that is neither wolf nor human. She asks the prince how he could possibly help Mononoke. He confesses that he does not know, but that he would help her find a way. The wolf goddess tells him to leave at sunrise. If he returns, she will kill him. After going back to sleep and getting up the next day, the prince obeys the wolf's command and leaves. One of the wolves escorts the prince to ensure his compliance. Before they part ways, the prince requests the wolf to hand his crystal dagger to Mononoke.
Isn't that the crystal dagger his sister gave him?
Yes,
Why would he give Mononoke the dagger?
because he has fallen in love with her.
But he's going to die from the demons soon, and she's going to die in battle. What is the point of showing romantic feelings now if they are both going to die?
The most powerful and impactful love stories are the ones that tragically end in death. Just ask Romeo and Juliet, or even Anakin and Padme when they thought they were going to die in the Geonosian arena. At any rate, the wolf agrees to take the crystal dagger to the princess. Afterwards, we see Mononoke with the other wolves. They are watching the enemy humans down below. The humans are sending out smoke that is designed to dull the animals' sense of smell. The wolves suspect that the humans are preparing a trap for the pigs. Mononoke suggests warning the boars. The wolf goddess replies that the pigs probably realize they are walking into a trap, but they are also too proud to stop and come up with a better plan. Mononoke asks the wolf goddess for permission to help the pigs. The wolf goddess tells Mononoke to do what she must. She then informs Mononoke that the warrior prince has stated his desire to spend the rest of his life with her. To this, Mononoke replies that she hates the prince, and in fact hates all humans.
Now this girl has the right idea. Crush all humanity!
Well, someone has a one-track frame of mind. Anyway, the wolf who had escorted the prince returns to Mononoke with the crystal dagger dangling from his mouth. Mononoke takes the dagger and declares it is pretty before draping it around her neck. The wolf goddess tells her children to go with Mononoke while she goes to the forest spirit. The scene shifts to the boars. They are emerging from the forest and painting themselves with a crude war paint. Mononoke and the wolves join the pigs. While this is going on, the prince and his bongo are riding through a rainstorm. The rain stops just as suddenly as it came, and the warrior is able to see the fort. The fort has once again come under attack by a rival human faction. When the prince starts riding toward the fort to lend help, a samurai appears before him and tells him to stop. The prince and his bongo leap over the samurai and plunge into the water below. Not once to give up easily, the samurai's men start shooting arrows at the waterlogged prince, who deflects the projectiles with his sword. The prince can see that he has arrived at the fortress too late, for the rival human factions have begun breaking into the fort. The inner keep of the fort, however, is still intact. The women defending the fort see the prince in the water and shout to him. They tell him that the lady commander took all the able-bodied men with her to kill the forest spirit, and that the rival humans took her absence as the opportunity to strike. At that moment, one of the soldiers that the prince rescued appears over the wall and gives the prince his bow and arrows. The prince gladly accepts his weapons and promises to get help. Some enemies spot the prince and decide to ambush him. The warrior is able to elude the initial ambush, but winds up being chased by 4 horsemen. At first, the prince is able to outrun his pursuers, but comes to a halt when he sees a smoky landscape before him. he observes that the air is permeating with the scent of burnt animals. The enemy soldiers take advantage of his distraction and fire an arrow which pierces the bongo's hindquarters and sends them tumbling down the mountainside. 2 horsemen charge at them while they are down. During the brawl between the warrior and the horseman, the warrior's arm becomes even more infected with the demonic plague. With demonic power flowing through him, the warrior chops off a horseman's arm. The horseman falls off his saddle.
Well, I hope that horseman is able to get back in his saddle.
Excellently put with the puns, Speckles. The other horseman then fires an arrow at the prince, who catches it out of the air with his bare hand and fires it back at him. The second horseman likewise falls to the ground. 2 more horsemen appear. The warrior warns for them to stay back, but they won't listen. He shoots an arrow at one of them, and his head goes flying off into the sunset.
Well, he certainly won't be getting back in the saddle.
Indeed. Anyway, the 4th horseman finally takes the hint and retreats. The prince then checks on his bongo. He tells the bongo to stay put while he gets help, but the bongo is too stubbornly loyal to his master. The prince reluctantly allows the bongo to come with him. When they arrive at the smoking ruin, the prince sees that the pigs have been brutally and thoroughly massacred. Dead smoking bodies of pigs lie all over the place. As shown in the snapshot, however, it is clear that the pigs did not go down without inflicting their own damage upon the humans. A man is digging a mass grave for the dead soldiers, and the prince decides to approach him. Before the warrior can ask the grave master any questions, he is confronted by some of the little monk's disciples. The warrior asks the militaristic monks if they know where the lady commander is, so that he can give her a message. The monks demand that the prince give them the message, so they can give it to her.
Right, because these militaristic monks are totally trustworthy. And I'm John Bob.
Indeed, I would not trust these men as far as I can throw them either. The conversation between the prince and the monks is interrupted at that point. Several men from the fort recognize the warrior and gladly greet him. The prince tells them that the fort is under siege and that the women and the lepers are holed up in the inner keep. This starts a riot between the ordinary soldiers and the monks. The soldiers want to retrieve the lady commander and defend the fort. The monks make weak excuses, saying that the forest is too big to effectively search for her. During the exchange, the prince was told that the lady commander was with the monk hunting the forest spirit. The prince asks this gentleman if he saw any wolves or Mononoke during the battle against the pigs. This man had not seen them, but the grave master had. He is clearly traumatized from the battle, so the first man describes what happened in a flashback. Apparently, the ordinary human soldiers were just as surprised by the ambush as the pigs. As the pigs charged up the hill, landmines went off everywhere and sent pigs flying all over the place.
You'd think that the pigs blown up by the landmines would be harvested by the surviving humans for dinner.
Pork chops are delicious, but it's certainly wrong to eat talking animals, and those pigs were clearly sentient. Anyway, when the pigs were blown up in the landmine barbecue, some of them landed on humans and crushed them to death. While the men are telling the prince about the battle, one of the wolves starts wriggling his way out from underneath a dead pig. The prince hears the wolf and checks on him. The wolf is unable to get out by himself, so the warrior helps him. The evil monks attempt to shoot the helpless prince with their poisoned darts.
Those monks have no conscience. And what am I? Just your conscience.
Fortunately, the soldiers surrounding the monks have a conscience, for they go ahead and knock the monks unconscious before they can kill the prince. They then go to the prince and help him heave the dead boar off the wolf. The bongo approaches the liberated wolf, who simply sniffs the herbivore and treats him like a friend. The prince entrusts his bongo to the soldiers before running off with the wolf. The warrior tells the wolf they must find Mononoke. If they can find her, they can find the lady commander. Inside the forest, the little monk is talking to one of his hunters. The hunter tells him that Mononoke and the white boar are going to the forest spirit. The monk instructs him to follow them. The scene then shifts to Mononoke, the other wolf, and the white boar. Mononoke encourages the boar to hang in there just a little longer, for they will reach the forest spirit soon. The boar god falls, encumbered by severe blood loss. Mononoke and the other wolf sense something is wrong and are startled by a noise in the brush. They look up and see the apes. The apes accuse them of killing the forest and warn them that creatures that are neither animal nor human are coming.
So, are we going to get centaurs or mermaids or something?
As much sense as that would make, nope. The answer reveals itself in the form of pigskin draped over humans so that the humans can disguise themselves as pigs and enter the realm of the forest spirit. The boar god smells the pigskins and is fooled into thinking that his warriors have returned. This gives him the morale boost he needs to stand again and march forward. Mononoke tries to tell him to stop, but the white boar won't listen. The disguised humans follow. While the boar god smashes his way blindly through boulders, Mononoke tells the wolf to get the wolf goddess.
It's funny that you said that the boar god was smashing his way blindly through the forest, given the fact that he's literally blind.
The ironic remark was intentional, I assure you. The white boar falls to the ground again, throwing Mononoke off her feet and causing the disguised humans to likewise stop.
In the animation, you'll see that the humans are crawling very quickly on the ground on their hands and knees while encumbered by pigskins, and they are covering rough terrain to boot. How are they able to keep up with the animals in Mononoke with those factors in play?
It's definitely a plot hole. I certainly don't know how to account for that. While Mononoke stands guard over the white boar, she hears the other wolf howling and realizes the warrior prince is on his way.
How would she have gotten that from a wolf howl?
She's lived among wolves and is probably fluent in over 6 million forms of communication in the wolf culture. The wolf probably told her about the prince and his howls.
That makes sense. Please continue.
Thank you. A minute later, we see black spaghetti sprouting out of the white boar's body.
Oh no! Not another black spaghetti pig demon!
Yup, Mononoke tries to wipe the black spaghetti off the boar, but it's too late.
Oh dear! She touched a demon! Now she's infected the same way that the prince is!
I believe you are correct. While Mononoke tries in vain to wipe the black spaghetti off, one of the disguised humans fires a slingshot at her. The rock hits her in the back of the head and causes her to fall face first into the disgusting mass of writhing demon spaghetti. The scene goes to the warrior prince and the wolf. The wolf tells the prince that Mononoke is in danger, and the two of them set off into the forest. The scene goes back to the boar, and we see him tap into the full power of demonic influence. The disguised humans shrink away from the black spaghetti that falls to the ground. The newly created demon rises, with Mononoke dangling from his mouth. Mononoke awakes and tries to break herself free. Her own hand breaks out with demon spaghetti, so she also is turning into a demon. She is dragged into the spaghetti pig demon's face, where she screams that she does not wish to be a demon. The scene shifts and we see...
Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest.
Ahem. As much as I appreciate the third-party character references in my video, it's not Robin Hood and Little John running through the forest. The scene shifts and we see the prince and the wolf running through the forest. The wolf tells the prince that he's too slow, and so commands him to climb onto his back. They bowl their way through the hunters and monks. The warrior sees the lady commander and tells the wolf to leave him. The prince jumps off the wolf's back and confronts the lady commander. The little monk tells his men to stop firing. The warrior tells the lady commander that the fort is under attack by rival human factions. The lady commander asks if he's just stalling for time for the forest spirit and is lying to her. The prince tells her he simply wants peace between humans and animals before darting away. The captain of the guard asks the lady commander if they should go back to the fort. The lady commander replies that she has done everything she can for the women of the fort. The women can take care of themselves.
What kind of commander just abandons her people like that?
A power-hungry nutjob.
Excuse me, but I don't think you two are looking at this from a woman's perspective. It's only natural. You're part of the toxic patriarchy after all.
Cut the insults and get to your point, you venomous vixen.
Well, someone's grumpy. It's like this. The women of the fort are like wasps. If you poke their nests, they will swarm you and make you wish you were dead. Women are better than men when it comes to defending the home, which is why the lady commander left the women in charge with guns. Men are too weak to fend for themselves.
We're talking about a story revolving around humans, not social wasp colonies with soy boy drones. Besides, when it comes to humans, both genders are equally capable of self-defense with the proper tools, not just women. Anyway, as the Lady Commander walks away, the little fat monk's followers ask him why they even need her. The little monk replies that when you try to kill a god, have someone else put herself at risk of being killed. The camera pans back to the prince. He enters the forest spirit's hiding place and finds the wolf goddess half submerged in the water. He asks the wolf goddess where Mononoke is. When he receives no response from the wolf, he calls for Mononoke. Mononoke awakes inside the demonic spaghetti pig. She hears the warrior's voice and calls for him. The prince looks in the direction of her voice and sees the new black spaghetti pig demon emerging into the clearing. The disguised humans surround the warrior, point their blow darts at him, and tell him to leave. The warrior tells the humans that if they fight him, the forest spirit will never come. The prince implores the black spaghetti pig demon to release Mononoke. The spaghetti pig demon becomes belligerent and thrashes his body. This causes demonic spaghetti to rain down on the disguised humans, which wreaks havoc among their ranks. More panic ensues among the humans when the other wolves arrive and start tearing their enemies apart. The prince jumps into the black spaghetti pig demon in a desperate bid to save Mononoke. His attempt is futile, as the demon throws the prince off his face. The prince falls onto the wolf goddess, and some of the demon gets onto her as a result. The prince then falls unconscious into the water. In the meantime, the disguised humans are finally able to drive back the wolves with grenades. The wolves regroup at their mother's side. The wolf goddess was going to use the last of her strength to kill the Lady Commander, but now she realizes that she will have to fight the new black spaghetti pig demon instead in order to save Mononoke. The Lady Commander and the fat little monk arrive to watch the ensuing battle in the clearing. Just then, the forest spirit himself shows up. The wolf and the spaghetti pig demon lock into combat. The spaghetti pig demon sees the forest spirit and goes limp, and his spaghetti stops writhing. The wolf goddess sends a mental command to the unconscious prince to awake and save the woman he loves. The prince awakes and swims to the surface. Before the prince can leap into action, the Lady Commander fires her gun at the approaching forest spirit. The bullet rips through his neck, and his ugly baboon face becomes more deer-like in appearance at the shock of the blow. As the forest spirit begins to sink into the water, the prince tells the Lady Commander to stop her violence. Then, the forest spirit recovers from his bullet wound and resumes his walk on the water. The monk remarks that the shot didn't kill the spirit. The Lady Commander replies that it's going to take more than one bullet to kill the weird creature. The warrior goes to the wolf goddess. He retrieves Mononoke from her mouth and jumps into the water with Mononoke in his arms. Then, in the weirdest turn of events, the forest spirit kisses the demon pig right on the snout. Turns out, it was the kiss of death.
Ew! That's got to be the grossest kiss of death ever! What mouthwash does the forest spirit use?
Who knows? Well, the wolf goddess follows suit and dies also.
But the forest spirit didn't kiss her!
It doesn't have to be the kiss of death, you know. Have you ever heard of the phrase, if looks could kill?
Excellent point, sir.
My looks haven't killed you two scoundrels yet. Believe me, I tried.
Well, maybe you need to try harder. At this point, the moon comes out.
Let me guess. Princess Mononoke turns into the Swan Princess on the lake.
Wrong story, wrong transformation. Besides, the Swan Princess turned into a swan when the moon's reflection left the lake, so it's also the wrong time of day. Anyway, the forest spirit starts transforming from his weird creature self into his titanic self. The prince and the princess rise to the surface, and the warrior watches the transformation in awe. The Lady Commander emerges from her position and aims her gun at the spirit. The prince commands her to stop and throws his sword into the Lady Commander's gun. As if that development was not humiliating enough for her, the lady's gun starts budding with plant life. Undeterred by both these happenstances, she aims her plant-covered gun at the forest spirit and is able to successfully fire it. The bullet slams itself into the creature's neck, which pops like a balloon. The spirit shrinks and becomes a bubble monster. As is the nature of any self-respecting bubble, it pops all over the place. Everything that the bubble touches shrivels and dies. Careful to not touch the slimy bubbles, the Lady Commander retrieves the spirit's head. She tosses it to the little fat monk. Oddly enough, When one of the slimy bubbles touches the dead wolf goddess, her head comes back to life and detaches itself from the rest of her body. The head wriggles and hops over to the Lady Commander and bites off her arm. The captain of the guard catches the Lady Commander before she can fall from the shock.
I'd be shocked too if a wolf's head came back to life and bit my arm off.
So would I, Speckles. A salamander is small enough to be eaten by a wolf in one gulp after all. Why would it just settle for your tiny arm? Anyway, the little monk puts the forest spirit's head into a metal container and runs off with it. The warrior prince helps the captain of the guard get the Lady Commander to safety. The bubbles reassemble themselves into a crude version of the forest spirit's titan body, minus the head. As the prince and the captain of the guard arrive at the island with the Lady Commander in tow, Mononoke meets them. She pulls the crystal dagger off her neck and threatens to slice the Lady Commander's throat. The warrior tells Mononoke that the wolf goddess already claimed revenge on the lady by ripping her arm off. A terrible splashing causes everyone to look toward the forest spirit. The beheaded spirit is rising to its full height and preparing itself to look for its head. Mononoke lashes out in fury again, even going so far as to pierce the prince's chest with the crystal dagger. Whether it's because of the demon, or because the dagger simply didn't go deep enough, this action did not kill him. He embraces Mononoke and tells her he is sorry for everything that has happened to the forest and asks her to help him make this right. This helps her to calm down. Meanwhile, the beheaded titan has risen to its full height. Where the head is supposed to be is replaced by a flat disc that blocks out the night sky. Little hands come out of the disc and try to find the head. The little monk and his men run as fast as they can with the head, trying desperately to avoid the deadly hands.
I just can't get over the fact that this fat little monk is able to maintain his balance on those ridiculous sandals and run!
Same here, my friend. Anyway, the spirit senses that the monk has its head and focuses all its energy on chasing the little scalawag. The scene goes to the fort, where we see dead men all over the place. The women and lepers keep their vigilance in preparation of another enemy attack. Suddenly, all the people at the fort look in the direction of the forest. The beheaded forest spirit rises above the mountains, spilling its deathly essence everywhere. The enemies outside the fort panic and run away. At first, the people inside the fort are determined to maintain their position. The warrior arrives and tells everyone in the fort to evacuate and stay away from the deathly essence. The lady in the red garment assumes command and tells everyone to do as the warrior has instructed. The deathly essence hits the fort like a tsunami. Some of the people are unfortunately killed in the murderous ooze. The survivors reach the water and use that as a barrier between themselves and the beheaded titan. They pause just long enough to watch the titan's essence destroy the fort. The titan marches on, solely focusing on retrieving its head and oblivious to the destruction it is causing. The warrior, Mononoke, and the wolves track down the little fat monk and confront him. The prince tells the monk to put the head down. The monk tells the prince that when the sun rises, the headless titan will die for good. The prince warns the monk that he will kill him if he must. The monk laughs off this threat and starts swinging his feet at the warrior.
How can one fat little man be so flexible on a pair of ridiculous stilt sandals?
I've given up trying to understand, Speckles. Maybe he's a magic little gremlin disguised as a human. One of the monk's underlings attacks Mononoke. Mononoke defeats him without much trouble. Two of the little monk's followers run away with the container. The titan reaches out with a hand and cages them in with its fingers. The men drop the canister and run away while Mononoke chases after it. The fat little monk catches the container with his entire body. He is knocked down the hill until he hits a big boulder. The monk, his last follower, the warrior, and Mononoke are all surrounded by the ooze. The boulder is the last place of shelter. The monk pleads with the sun to rise. The prince tells him the only way out of this hopeless situation is to return the titan's head. Seeing their predicament, the monk agrees and surrenders the head to the warrior and Mononoke. They lift the head together and call upon the forest spirit to reclaim its head and end its destruction.
Why couldn't the head have looked like that when the forest spirit was properly alive?
Because anime animators have a different sense of style from us? I agree with you though, this is the best the head has looked. It looks more natural like this. Of course, I'm not wishing for the creature to be dead and beheaded. I just wish it looked like this instead of an ugly baboon when alive. The Titan bends down and reclaims its head. The prince embraces Mononoke as the Titan approaches. When the spirit touches them, everything is lit up in a flashy display. Finally, the Titan rises and looks toward the horizon. Its head has finally returned. The sunlight hits the Titan, causing it to fall. The Titan falls on the fort, causing a powerful wind to sweep through the place. The debris caught up by the wind is carried over the mountains. At this point, the camera focuses on the mountains. After 10 seconds, the desolated mountains begin to spring forth with new plant life. The residents of the fort watch as their stronghold is turned into a hill covered in ruins and new plants. The bongo approaches the prince and Mononoke and awakes them. The prince and princess are in each other's arms. The two humans rise and enjoy the new scenery with the bongo and the wolves. Mononoke remarks that the great forest spirit is dead.
What I cannot figure out is how the forest spirit is dead. They returned the head before the sun rose, so shouldn't that have saved it?
I don't know. This kind of mythology is confusing, to be honest. But to continue, the prince declares that the spirit isn't dead. He's basically just invisible now. The warrior looks down at his hand and sees that he is no longer demon-possessed. All that remains of his possession is his scar.
Earlier in the movie, the spirit was only able to heal the warrior of his bullet wound. It looked like even he was incapable of healing the warrior of the demon. So, how was the spirit able to heal the warrior of the demon possession at the very end, and with his head missing to boot?
It's another confusing and serious plot hole, but not one I truly care about solving because I'm not an anime fan. Now, at the end, Princess Mononoke and the warrior confide that they care about each other. However, Mononoke cannot forgive the humans for what they have done to the forests. The prince understands. He tells her he will help the people from the fort rebuild their livelihoods, and Mononoke will help regrow and protect the forests. The prince will visit her whenever he can. With that, Mononoke and the wolves leave. The scene shifts to the Lady Commander surrounded by her people. She tells them that they will rebuild, and that they owe a debt of gratitude to the prince, the princess, and the wolves for saving them all. The scene then goes to the monk and his last follower. The monk simply says that he gives up, for there is no winning against fools. The movie ends with one of the little good luck spirits walking among the saplings of the forest.
So, what are your final impressions of Princess Mononoke?
Well, I don't know about you two, but I for one did not enjoy it. It might as well be Princess Karaoke or Princess Mononoke. As I explained earlier in the first Mononoke video, the quality of this movie is inferior to Tumblr art. Well, I'm bored. I think I'll go hang out with Brie Larson on her new YouTube channel. See ya, suckers!
Sir Persevere, what are your conclusions about the movie?
If you're an anime fan, this is probably right up your alley. But as you can tell, this film is way too weird for my tastes, from the style to the storytelling. Give me some old-time classic Western animation any day of the week. And if you happen to be short and stout, don't try your luck with being athletic while wearing stilt sandals. That probably won't work out too well for you. All the same, even if you disagree with my views on anime, I hope you still enjoyed the review. I tried to make it as entertaining as possible.
Do you know what movie you'll be reviewing next time?
I'll probably attempt to finish my Batman Hush review as the next movie. That animation is so much better. But before I do that, I will be reviewing a satire animation clip recently found on Twitter, and even make a video about the lost project of Galaxy Gas. Thank you to everyone who watched this video. If you liked this commentary, and you want to see more like it, please go ahead and hit the thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Now, my friends, go forth, be gracious to everyone, and may God bless you.